UIM F1H2O World Championship returned to Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates for the fifth and penultimate round of the 2013 season. The capital city of the UAE, Abu Dhabi is a rising star on the regional and world stage. This is an impressive city, full of incredibly grand architecture, magnificent skyscrapers, and meticulously developed urban areas and recreational parks. It's also one of the world's top marine motorsport meccas, as attested by the week-long water sports festival that will include F1H2O, Class 1, UIM Nations Cup, F4S, Aquabike, and traditional Emirati dhow sailing and wooden powerboat racing. It's little wonder that the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is the longest-standing Grand Prix of the UIM F1H2O World Championship calendar. This year's was the 22nd Grand Prix in its 20-year history of hosting F1H2O racing, and it coincided with the UAE's 42nd National Day celebrations. Now, let's see what happened in the last round. In round 4 in Doha, Qatar, the world standings were shaken up after a fantastic drama-filled race. Sami Celio Madcrock Baba Racing Team was tied for number 1 in the world standings with two-time defending world champion Alex Carella of Qatar Team. Sami's hopes were crushed within the first few seconds of the race when he crashed out before the first turn, taking Francesco Cantando of Singa F1 Racing Team with him. Carella had pole position and led the race right from the start, ahead of his teammate Sean Torrente. Then, with just 2 laps left to the finish, Carella began slowing down, his engine cruelly giving out. As Sean Torrente moved up to pass Carella, he had a run-in with his fellow American Terry Rinker of Team Azerbaijan, who crashed out of the race. Torrente won his first ever F1H2O race. Jonas Anderson of Team Azerbaijan was runner-up, and though Philip Schiapp of CTIC China Team finished third, he was disqualified after post-race scrutineering due to an engine infraction. This moved Yusuf Al-Rubayan of F1 GC Atlantic Team to third place, his first ever podium. Torrente shot right back up to the top of the world standings, 7 points clear of Carella and 11 points clear of Celio going into the Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi. There are 18 drivers from 9 teams competing in this, the penultimate round of the 2013 season. All eyes here will be on the local heroes and defending team champions, Team Abu Dhabi, with Ahmed Al-Hamali and veteran Thani Al-Kamzi leading the Abu Dhabi campaign.
I'm very happy today in my home, and there is National Day also. Everyone happy here today, and I do my best in the race. I hope so.
But the big fight is between 4 pilots vying for the World Championship. Carella and Torrente, Schiapp and Celio. They all have a shot at the world title, but all of them had to overcome some serious setbacks before the race even began. The Qatar Team pilots both broke their engines in practice and, in a mad rush before the session ended, had to swap them with the backup engines. Mechanics had to fight against the clock to get those engines fine-tuned and race-ready, all under searing heat, with everything on the line in a sport where technical reliability is as big a factor as the pilot. It could prove disastrous for Torrente, who had the World Championship within his sights.
we had something that hasn't happened in 3 years. We broke a couple motors at the same time. Had to go back to the tent and change 2 motors right away. And normally we have one ready just in case someone has a problem. And we have other engines, but one's ready to go. So it was a race back. Corella beat me back there by just a minute or two, unfortunately. So he got that one. We were prepping the other one, got it on. Then go out, finally go to get a lap in, and 3/4 of the lap, the prop breaks, which was my qualifying prop. So we'll see how that goes going forward now. And then, but it's still running, and all the problems are behind us now. We broke everything there is to break. Now we can race.
And Sammy Celio was in a new boat he'd never driven before in Abu Dhabi, following his crash in Doha.
Yes, I have new boat now here. Of course, it takes a little bit time to learn it. All the tricks with this boat is fraction different than what I used to drive it. So let's see. I hope the setup will be right for the time trial and especially for the race, but it will be challenging.
After his engine was DQ'd in Doha, Philip Schiap of CTIC China team had to revert to his old engine.
Yes, it's an old engine. The EM think my engine is not legal, and we say it's legal. I know it's legal, but he don't want to use after Doha. Old engine, he checks the engine, he says it's okay. I tried this morning, it's not bad.
A pilot who's been improving of late is Kuwaiti Yusuf Al-Rubayyan. He's been pushing the top echelons and got his first podium in Qatar.
It was a great race. It's first podium for me in Formula One since I start. It was race number 11, and I hope we continue in this kind of result for the future.
The fallout from the incidents and accidents in Doha was substantial. Cantando's boat was a wreck, and unfortunately he would not be able to race in Abu Dhabi. Terry Rinker's boat was badly damaged, but luckily Team Abu Dhabi lent him a new one. So the stage was set as all the major players faced some serious handicaps, hurdles, and adjustments as they went into the Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi. And who would emerge victorious was anybody's guess. The qualifying is divided into 3 sessions. 6 boats were eliminated in Q1 and another 6 in Q2, with the final 6 boats having 2 laps each with a track to themselves as they vie for the all-important pole position. The 2,032-meter circuit has 5 left and 1 right turn, with tricky wind and water conditions, especially down by turn number 2. In Q1, young Philip Roms of Mad Croc Baba Racing Team looked poised to qualify for Q2, but his hopes were dashed as Polish pilot Bartek Marszalek of Singa F1 Racing Team snuck in right at the end of the 20-minute session. His teammate Valerio Lagianella was also out, as was Zhongzi Wei of CTIC China Team, Rinaldo Osculati of Team Nautica, and the 2 Caldwell Racing pilots Paul Shepard and Ivan Brigada. In Q2, the battle to make it into Q3 was between Abu Dhabi teammates Al Hamali and Al Thani, with Al Hamali eventually qualifying in 5th. But Al Thani was unable to hold on to 6th spot as well after a great run by Duarte Benavente of F1 GC Atlantic Team that put the Portuguese pilot through to Q3 in his best qualifying result of the year. His teammate Al Rubayyan just missed out in 7th, as did both Team Azerbaijan drivers Terry Rinker and Jonas Anderson. Marit Stromoy of Team Nautica also unable to make the cut, finishing Q2 in 10th position. Q3, 6 drivers with 2 laps each to set their fastest times. First up, Benavente went out and set a time of 46.17 seconds. That was quickly superseded by Al Hamali's time of 45.68. With his new engine, Philip Schiap went out next. he recorded a blistering time of 45.11 seconds to nab provisional pole. Next up was the winner of the last two pole positions in China and Qatar, Alex Carrella. He was fast, he was smooth, and he was hungry. But he was unable to beat the Frenchman, managing a fastest lap time of 45.28 seconds. All eyes were fixed on his teammate Sean Torrente. But a cruel blow to Torrente as he blew his new engine before he could even get a lap going. That left one man, Savi Celio, the pole position winner of Brazil and Ukraine. Having already beaten the Qatari boats, could Chiap win his first pole? The flying Finn was flawless out there, tight on those turns, smooth on those straights. On his first lap, 44.82 seconds. He had it. Celio wins his third pole position of the year and would be the man to beat. He looks very comfy in that new boat.
Yeah, it's still a learning curve going on. I do mistakes with it and I don't really know the limits yet, but very nice to be in the pole now, new boat and everything, so it will be much better.
Chiap starts second on the grid, Carrella third. Torrente's campaign, already off to a bad start, got even worse because the switch to yet another engine would drop him back on the starting grid for the next day's race. The Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi was underway. Conditions on the day, flat waters and mild winds. There's just minutes to go. The pressure was on, nerves were taut. The battle for the world title was entering its penultimate stage. It was more bad news for Torrente, as yet another engine change after the qualifier meant the world standings leader would be starting down in 11th place. Celio in pole ahead of Chiap and Carrella, spots 4 and 6 for the UAE racers Al-Hamali and Al-Kamzi, Stromoy 7th, Torrente all the way down at 11th, and poor Benavente, who'd made it to Q3, starts last. Final tense moments to the countdown. 10,000 horsepower about to be unleashed as we hold our breath. The 3 rows of lights go on and off. The race begins as the boats roar down that 450-meter chute to the commitment buoy. Savi Celio is screaming down that straight as he reaches incredible speeds to nudge ahead of Chiap and Carrella. Carrella moves ahead of Chiap, keeping up with the Finn. Chiap dropping back as the boats get to the first turn. Disaster! The 2 UAE boats collide on the very first turn. Al-Hamali and Al-Kamzi have a huge crash here in home waters. And their boats are totaled. The 2 drivers were unhurt, but it was a huge disappointment for Team Abu Dhabi and these 2 drivers, neither of whom had ever won here in 18 races between them. Let's look at it again. Al-Hamali turns from Carrella's spray, probably doesn't see Al-Kamzi to his right, and kablam! Water and boat parts everywhere as the other pilots drive around them. Let's have a look from Al-Hamali's onboard. Al-Kamzi just comes into sight, but too late, and it's curtains for Team Abu Dhabi.
Just a little accident. 2 boats off of the race and unlucky race for us.
When the teammates start side by side, they're very competitive guys, and I'm not sure what happened in the first turn, but they got together and went over. So, you know, it's a difficult situation.
That crash didn't just cost the Abu Dhabi team, however, it also cost Qatar team, as Carella had moved into second, and then Torrente had moved into fourth position with a great start. There we see Torrente on the outside, crossing over into the first turn, about to take fourth spot, before he had to veer sharply away from the crash. Ronaldo Osculati also cuts him fast, almost hitting a Caldwell boat, and that gets him a yellow card. But because a lap hadn't yet been completed, the boats would restart in their original lineup, so that great start was cancelled out for Carella and Torrente. A yellow flag can be an opportunity for the boats to get a jump on each other as the field bunches up, but Chiap is unable to get the jump on Celio, and Carella also back chasing Chiap now as he gets blasted by the Frenchman's spray. The man to beat here, Sami Celio. He's looking fast out there, but Chiap is a tough guy to have breathing down your neck. Further back, Torrente, who started in 11th position, has been storming his way through the field as he passes 3 boats in one go. And who do you think is up there waiting for him but Marit Stromoy of Team Nautica? These two had a spectacular crash out as their boats went hurtling through the air back in Portimao, Portugal in 2011. Stromoy passes Yusuf Al-Rabayan on that long 487-meter straight to buoy 1 as the Norwegian moves up into fourth. Behind Stromoy, Torrente also has his sights set on Al-Rabayan as the American gives chase to the F1 GC Atlantic team pilot. Al-Rabayan is coming off his first podium in Doha, Qatar, and he's also been getting some good and consistent qualifying results. The Kuwaiti is fast, but he's going to have to come up with something special against Torrente. Torrente has a superior pace out there as they come around turn number 3, and Torrente overtakes the Kuwaiti just after turn number 4 as they head into the right-hander. Al-Rabayan can only look on as Torrente moves up into 5th position behind Stromoy. Celio leads, Chiap second, Carella third, then Stromoy and Torrente making up the top 5 as we're 5 laps into the race now. Behind Al-Rabayan is a battle for 7th spot as Jonas Anderson of Team Azerbaijan tries to hunt down Valerio Lagianella, who's leading the Singa campaign here in the absence of Francesco Cantando, whose boat was wrecked after that crash in Doha. Anderson has been on the up of late. Major modifications and fine-tuning on his Mulgard boat going into Doha in round 4. It paid off as the veteran Swede got 3rd place on the starting grid and finished the race runner-up, his best result in 4 years. After a tough battle, Anderson found the opening he needed to pass Lagianella and move into 7th position. Up in the lead, 2-time world champion Sami Celio maintains a 2.5 second lead over the very fast and very determined Philipp Chiap, who's been giving it everything he's got so far, but still unable to find any answers for Celio's speed. The standings after 8 laps, no change in the top 5 as Celio leads ahead of Chiap, Carella, Stromoy, and Torrente. Al-Rabayan 6th, then Anderson, Lagianella, Terry Rinker, and Philip Roms. Bartek Marsalik slipped down to 11th after his 8th place start, with Leo Zhang bringing up the rear. Meanwhile, Torrente keeps up his pursuit of Stromoy, but this time he faces a very fast boat, and Stromoy is not going to be easy to overtake. This may bring back bad memories for Stromoy, who had won pole back in the Portuguese GP in Portimao and led the race until her collision with Torrente halfway through that ended her first chance at a podium and perhaps even a race win. But Torrente is now on 2 yellow cards, the first after that crash in China last year with Celio, the second received in Doha after that crash with Rinker. And he knows 1 more yellow card means it's bye-bye to him, so he has to be very careful out there. Celio laps Chinese drivers Yang Ziwei, Celio has a great history here in Abu Dhabi. He had just one win in 13 Grand Prix back in 2007, but it was a must-win race that eventually earned him his first World Championship that year. In second position, Shiap sandwiched between two-time world champs, Celio in front and Carella behind. Torrente still trying to make headway against Moritz Stromoy as the American cuts Stromoy's lead down to 1.2 seconds. Torrente nipping and tucking in and out, trying to find some kind of gap, but Stromoy is looking better than ever. She tied her career best finish in Doha, 5th place, and now she's going for a possible best ever race result if she can finish 4th or better. The top of Carella's canopy has come off. That is going to have a huge effect on the boat's aerodynamics, not to mention all that very salty water coming into the cockpit, and that is going to be a serious hamper to his visibility. Jonas Andersson in 7th position, but he gets passed by Lagianella, and it looks like the Swedish driver is having some engine problems as he slows down, but then gets going again. Celio is driving like he owns this race. He's looking virtually unstoppable. At the back, problems again for young Liu Xiong as he clips a roller and crashes out of yet another race. That boat is a wreck, but the Chinese ace is fine. Another yellow flag. A lot rests on the radio men here. If they can time it just right, the driver has a shot at passing the boat ahead on the restart. There's the green flag. Can Shiap get the jump on Celio? Carella moves up on Celio with Shiap on the outside. They come around the corner, but Shiap has the pace on the outside to keep Carella back at 3rd. Back in 5th, Torrente just unable to make any progress in his battle with Stromoy, who's holding the American off in fine style. The defending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix champion, Alex Carella, racing bravely against the odds with the top of his canopy gone. Carella's teammate Torrente is making headway against Stromoy, but he always seems to come just a bit short as a 38-year-old Stromoy holds her ground. With 10 laps to go, Celio remains firmly in the lead ahead of Shiap and Carella. Aurabayan in 6th, then Rinker up in 7th, with his teammate Andersson now down in 10th and struggling. So a reduced field of boats, which means less back markers to have to weave through for the top boats. Meanwhile, Stromoy still putting in some impressive racing. She's invited all her supporters here for the Grand Prix, and they've turned up by the dozens, cheering her on and having a good time. It seems fitting that she should have her best ever finish here. On lap 34, Andersson's race comes to an end. What a shame for the experienced Team Azerbaijan driver. No changes in position as we enter the final lap. Celio has it! Sami Celio wins his 2nd Abu Dhabi Grand Prix! Philip Shiap, runner-up. Carella, 3rd. Also, celebrations for Team Nautica as Moritz Stromoy comes in 4th. But the big winners today, Mad Croc Baba Racing Team, as we see Massimo Ruggiero celebrate on the pontoon with Sami Celio. Philip Shiap is a well-deserved runner-up, consistent from the get-go. Torrente did great to move up from 11th to finish in the top 5. Great result also for Rinker in 7th and Philip Roms in 8th. Also a point for Caldwell's talented Ivan Brigada. But Stromoy was perhaps the happiest face out there.
Yeah, I had a good race. It was very funny all the time. I was chased by Sean and thinking about our past together. I was really trying not to get him too close to me, and I managed to do a little bit of zigzagging and keep him behind me, but I had a great race.
His Highness Dr. Sheikh Sultan bin Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan was there to give out the trophies. Top of the world standings, 2 points ahead of Torrente and just 4 ahead of Carella, with Shiap 10 points behind. Stromoy moves up to 8th and the first point for Caldwell Racing.
Yeah, the start was pretty good. It didn't feel so good probably than it looked like it, but I was a little bit disappointed when it's coming yellow flag. I said, wow, now you never know what's going to happen in the restart, but luckily I could keep the lead, and then was hard driving till the end.
Yes, it's a hard race. Sami is fast, but me also, and Alex is behind me, push also, and yeah, it's not easy for this race, but I'm happy with the problem with Doha. We have an old engine, and the result is not bad for this race.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm sorry because at the start I had Philippe and I was close to Sami, so I had already one position. I was second and the yellow flag made me in trouble, but okay, third is good. We are still inside the championship. We will fight. I'm not out for Sarge, so this was the point of the weekend, don't be out of the championship.
With just 10 points separating the top 4 racers, a cracking final Grand Prix awaits in Sharjah, where the 2013 UIM F1H2O World Championship will be decided. See you there.